good to go.
Yeah, that's, you ready to go? Mike, we good? All right. I gotta power it on, I guess, huh? I call this meeting to order. Lori will leave the attendance on your desk. Public comment, I'd like to invite one of this group to please come up and discuss. You'll need to introduce yourself and give your name and address, please, and you've got 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Naomi Perales. I live at 4890 Thistle Lane in Lake in the Hills, and today we are here with Phi Theta Kappa, the Honor Society at McHenry County College. Each year we do a project that helps our local communities, and with this year being the topic of the art of science at play, we wanted to share our research with the community.
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Name and address, please.
Justin Leith, 2660 Braeburn Way in Woodstock, Illinois.
Okay, thank you, Justin.
So our research this year found that members of marginalized communities need encouragement in universal design practices to fully participate in play. And to achieve these goals, some best practices for parks and recreation include handicap parking, ramps and wide walk paths, specific interactive structures for the differently abled people, welcoming artwork that shows representation for all kinds of people from all walks of life, public access to clean and unlocked bathrooms that are appropriately stocked with things like baby changing tables and menstrual products, and making those bathrooms gender neutral and handicap accessible. So we actually took time to visit and survey Northfield Park and Milky Way Park. And after analysis, we found that your parks have rules displayed for children to enjoy themselves while ensuring good behavior. And there are shaded areas to relax, quiet areas for children to decompress if they become overstimulated. And specifically, Milky Way Park is a helpful location to facilitate community soccer games, which can be very important to the community and people who reside in it to enjoy themselves. In addition, we observed the bathrooms at Northfield Park were locked, and the bathrooms at Milky Way Park have been missing amenities like changing tables and menstrual products. The bathrooms were both gendered and not rated clean. The parks did not have any interactive equipment or inclusive and welcoming artwork. However, we were very happy to see that your parks had wheelchair accessible pathways, and all the bathrooms were handicap accessible, which is very good, so that anyone of the citizens can enjoy the parks. And we understand these parks are very important to your community, and we appreciate your service to the community. And thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. So, do you have documentation for us?
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. These are the results of the survey? Yes. Wonderful. Thank you very much. And again, you're Justin?
Yes.
And ma'am? Naomi?
Yes.
Thank you so very, very much for coming tonight.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Just under 3 minutes. Perfect. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of October 16th?
So moved.
Scott, who said, Rosa, second?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Ryan, project update status.
I got a couple quick ones for you. So with the dog park, Public Works was able to tap into the main and run the water line for the water fountain. The weather has also allowed for the cement slab to be poured for that project. The weather's changing, obviously, so we'll get what we can get done for the rest of the year, but springtime will for sure have everything finished up. Pool's finally fully winterized, all lines are blown out, fill plugs are installed, check valves removed. All that's left to do is just to clean out the DE tank with the help of Public Works as time allows with their busy schedule. The Park Point walking path project, I confirmed with Powell Gravel over this past month on moving forward with that and getting everything good to go. Everything is good to go on their end, but they're probably going to have to do that in the spring. And then just lastly, one of the last things, it's kind of parks, but the Christmas tree at 5 Points is up and decorated, ready for Christmas. Big shout out to Ben's Christmas Tree Farm for donating that Christmas tree. Chris and Dale have been absolutely fantastic to work with, so, over the years.
All right. Any questions for Ryan? Seeing none, programs and events.
Alrighty, so we got a bunch of live stuff currently. Eggnog Jog is still live. We're coming up less than 2 weeks away from that. As of Friday, we had 40 registered. The Conchas and Cocoa, that's a free event for the community on December 9th from 2 to 5. We'll have free Conchas and Cocoa, as well as you can take your picture with Santa.
Is that in here?
It's going to be over on City Hall side.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then, so the library will actually be joining us for that event as well. They're going to be handing out a free take-home craft for the kids to do. We're looking at maybe some sort of like Christmas ornament, something like that. Limber Life, that's session 1's currently happening. We have 7 participating in that. Zumba is still, registration is still open. We have 5 signed up for that at the moment. The Gingerbread Showdown, that starts, the gingerbread houses should start, or gingerbread structures, I should say. Those will start arriving hopefully Monday, November 27th. The ESL program that I've been working on, we're waiting on one more to confirm their availability. As soon as I hear back from them, my goal is to start getting that promoted by December 1st. And then I met with Mary Flores from the University of Illinois Extension Office, and we're looking on ways to work together to drive health and activity-related recreation and programming here in town. And then, but she's currently out of town right now, and we're going to touch base again after the Thanksgiving holiday. And then the Harvard Junior Hornets travel basketball. That practice has started. Everything's going really well and smoothly. Our numbers are down a little bit from last year, but we have enough kids for a full 5th through 7th grade team. And just another shout out to our sponsors for their generous support. This program wouldn't be possible without them. Our sponsors are U.S. Medical Glove, Brown Bear Daycare, Jane Kelly, and then Harvard State Bank. So.
All right. Any questions for Ryan? Okay. Community garden update.
Rebuild Illinois grant.
Oh, rebuild Illinois grant. I'm sorry.
Nothing to report at this time.
Nothing. Pass. All right. Just so wait.
Hurry up and wait.
All right. Then community garden update.
Alrighty, so I met with Jay and Lisa at the end of October to discuss the community garden up at Lions Park. All this is in my notes is in your packet as well.
Picture.
So we talked originally after discussion. These are notes made after the fact thought process behind everything. Originally, we were going to decide 2025. Spring was the goal, having this up and running. I came back to the office, started working on some of these details, talked with Donavan, as he has past experience within the community gardens. Lou was able to join us into that meeting, and we felt that it's possible that we could get this happening before the growing season of 2024, which would start around Mother's Day. Obviously, all that's going to be money-driven. But my thought process was if we would purchase the materials needed, we could offer 16 raised planter beds. They'd be 12 foot in length, 4 foot in width, 12 inches deep. For all the materials, at Menard's prices right now is a little bit over $2,500. That doesn't include the fill cost for the planters, but did some research online. About $45 a cubic yard for the organic soil compost mix. Depending on the depth used, whether it's 10 inches or 12 inches, it'd be anywhere from, I think, $1,350.
Why do they have to be raised?
So it helps with, not accessibility, but so that you can reach over. It's not, you don't have to be on your hands and knees completely all the time to garden. And from an aesthetic standpoint, it does look nice. So.
This is what Woodstock does, right?
Yeah.
But it never was before.
Well, that garden was run by the Extension Office.
The University of Illinois Master Gardeners.
Yeah.
They took over that whole plot there.
Is this going to be a problem with maintenance? How are you going to turn these beds at the end of the year?
Yeah, so we've talked about some of that maintenance. So mowing in between them, obviously we want to have enough space in between them to get our 72-inch deck through it. And then you can put in, how Donavan said that they did it in Fox Lake, I believe, it was in the contract that we would just mow in between the paths. There's like a foot out from the garden bed, that's like your responsibility. So from a weeding standpoint, weeding inside, that would be the responsibility of the renter. So
Why do you got a board in the middle between, for 12 feet
it's just a brace board,
to hold the other boards?
just in case if something gets knocked, just adds more structure.
12 foot long. Renting
12 is
like
now,
planners,
What?
like they're gonna be like rented to the community
Mhm.
per plan.
Yep, so kind of my thought process was, you know, if you wanted one bed, it would be $40 for the year. And then if you wanted two, it would be 60. You would have first right of refusal for the following year. And hopefully we can get enough to fill the 16. I was also thinking if we got all 16 rented, you know, we have the cost per each planner. So if somebody wanted to purchase the planner, they would be able to purchase it. We would install it for them and do, you know, put it where the proper place it should go. And then they would have, you know, rent free for 2 years and then fall under the normal because they're paying for that capital. So it's just some ideas. But I have it in my budget for this upcoming fiscal year, which we'll touch on that as we proceed.
Okay.
But we can have discussion on this if we want.
Ellen?
We
Later.
can have discussion on this if you want, or.
Yeah,
we
so
can-
any questions for Ryan on this? Lisa, kind of talk about how the program works in Woodstock? I mean, is it successful, what we've,
Yeah, I checked with the Public Works and, I checked with the Public Works and, yeah, I think they had a few beds that weren't rented this year, but they've got like 30 maybe, and they range in size from 4x6 to, I think, 4x12. They've got a variety, or maybe it's 4x10, but they've got a variety of sizes, and they do the foot around that the renter has to maintain, and then they just mow in between them, and they've been really, really happy with it. They have good participation from the community. They only charge $10 for renting them, and then for two, it's like $15. It's very cheap. Well, I think it's $10 for the 4x6. So and then it's maybe $20 for the larger one, but it's very, very inexpensive. And there are, I guess they have a couple of people who rent several each year, who are apartment dwellers who,
Right.
yeah. So, but they've been pleased with it.
I like the idea. The only thing I'm concerned about is the capital outlay to get this all set up if we don't know we have the renters to fill it.
Well, one of the things that Woodstock did, and she's retired now, but their grant writer, Terry Wilcoxon, did find grant funds to get their program started. And so I have a call in to Terry at her house to talk to her and see if she remembers what the source of those funds were, because I think that would be a nice way to do it, to get it at least started.
that's not a lot of money. It's
No.
$4,000.
Right,
So-
right.
We might have to match, that type of thing.
Yeah, but if we can stretch our money,
Right.
that would be good.
Any other questions? All right. Milky Way Park soccer fields.
So we had the discussion at last month's meeting. I was working on putting together some price points for everything. So this is a price point, the first kind of Excel looking sheet. That's for
Yeah.
the soccer tournament. And then on the back side of that page is the quote or the estimate from Langton Group for the grading that would need to be done in order to make that a smooth, competitive surface. It was a little bit higher than what we had thought. We thought there was some areas that didn't fall under prevailing wage that actually did. So that's where the price difference comes from.
Have we approached the soccer organizations out there and asked them what they would charge us to rent their equipment?
I've had a conversation with them about it, but it was when we were discussing for the men's soccer league, just because LA was playing soccer, and so I was out there every single Saturday. And what they ended up doing, I'm not sure on the price that they finally settled on. It was a board decision, and then they just got in contact with the men's soccer league. But I can reach out to a couple of them and see what they were charging. So the difference would be to do it truly 100% correctly. It would go in, fully grade everything out, put an irrigation system in, and then actually have it crowned from the center, so that way everything drains out. This one, it's more bringing in fill and just taking a box scraper more or less and filling in all the imperfections in the ground. So you're still going to have your pitches, whether just based on the topography of the land, but it'll at least be a smooth playing surface.
Do you have any idea what the quality of
So most of them fall within, it depends on where. Like Crystal Lake, it's going to be more mid to higher with a couple of lower end ones, just kind of thrown into specific areas. Woodstock is actually doing this exact process right now at one of their parks, just because of the cost from full grade with irrigation. You know, if you get over into the Mac or into Lake in the Hills, Huntley, it's all going to be that mid to mid high with a couple of mid lows in there.
Okay, so be appealing to the leagues to use a field that was in mid.
Yes.
So Ryan, I discussed this with the mayor a little bit. If we were just to run tournaments for, let's say we go to this local soccer group, say, hey, we want to just have a starter tournament, 12 teams, you know, minimal entry fee, just because we want to start experimenting with this and see how this would work in our community. Are they going to be driven to, how did they officiate their games? Did they hire officials?
Yes.
They did, okay. So if we cut down to like a 12, we do a 12-team tournament, would the official cost be half of that $9,000, would be $4,500? If it's not 2,500, not 2014?
It would be all dependent on how many games were
Right.
played.
Right.
You know, this is the max number of games if you did a
Right.
you know, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament. I mean, that is a variable cost that can be ever changing. And having a 12-man rec style tournament out there this summer is still in the works. This was for more, these numbers are for
Right.
that big scale tournament, that,
Right.
you know, athletic tourism that is being, you know, trying to be brought into town. So we're still in process of getting just a local, you know, 12-team tournament off the ground for the year.
Okay.
But this was more for bringing in outside teams.
Because honestly, as an alderman, before investing any of this money, I want to see how we run the tournament, smaller tournament for a couple of years, and then if we see that there's a demand for more, then we could say we need to invest, and I know pushing it down the road is going to obviously increase the cost, but, it's just the general nature of it. But I hate to invest, $150,000 into something that, we don't know if it would work right away, That's just my personal opinion, personal thoughts on it. Does anyone else have any thoughts, questions for Ryan? Lori?
Yeah, under the promotional materials, were the numbers just switched around? Because why would it be more expensive for 2 fields than it would be for 4 fields?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Where do you see that? That's right.
500 versus 750?
Yeah,
yeah.
went up like 250.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
just got switched.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So it should be 750 on one side and 500.
Oh, what I was thinking, no, it shouldn't have been. Because what it is you eliminated the social media and the U.S. soccer promo, so
Yep.
you're gonna bump it up a little bit. That's on the high end.
Yeah.
Because when you do the U.S. soccer, it goes out to more places, like nationwide or region-wide, to where it's bumped up a little bit there, but that's on the maximum amount, if that makes sense, because you're eliminated.
It does, because then you're piggybacking on that stuff, so.
Yep.
Okay, no, thank you.
Jay, I think that's a good idea for us to start like that.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where
I mean,
it's
this
going.
is good baseline research by Ryan for us to use moving forward, but let's see what this tournament does next summer. I mean, or how long, is it a 3-day tournament you're talking about, Ryan?
Probably a 2.
2-day?
It'll probably be a Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. And any idea of entry fee or anything like that? I mean,
I'm still working with Nick and Jose, trying to figure out. With the holidays right now, they're super swamped with work, and so
Oh, yeah,
getting a hold
that's
of
fine.
them has been challenging.
And we have 2 fields that we can do nothing on, and they're good enough? Or should we-
They are grass.
Well, I mean,
So
how
I
lo-
have
Well,
a
I know, but-
recommendation here
Yeah.
about trying to find a solution that allows us to do this without spending a lot of capital. And I think one of the main things, and if I understand correctly, the complaint by the players was the unlevelness of the field and
Sure.
bits of divots and what have you. Well, I'm wondering, because of our community, could we reach out to some local landscaping companies that live right here in Harvard that might be willing to help us level that with some leveling rakes as a donation to the parks? I kind of feel like we might be able to get some people in town willing to at least get the field at a level that is comparable for the low end, so that we can start doing this kind of programming and get a following and create the justification to do the larger portion.
I don't know if that's going to happen for us to, okay, so let me step back. I would not do that and plan this tournament this summer unless I knew, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Okay, we're seeking for people to do it in May or April or whenever. You got to start planning for this type of tournament now, even at the low end, and I wouldn't make that commitment to do that until I knew for sure that this has happened.
That's
Yeah,
a fair
but-
comment.
So
I'm-
like we
I'm
run
just
a smaller
suggesting that
tournament
it's-
this year, then if we can get this organized,
Be possible that if you can find some landscaping companies that are interested in partnering with the city, I think they could accomplish that in the spring, and you could still do a tournament sometime in either late fall or late summer or early fall.
Okay.
I think it's possible to do both.
Sorry.
No, the-
Okay, so the intent of doing the soccer tournament was one, yes, to bring more people in, and this first year wasn't expected to have, full-blown stadium. Even, it could be 2-3 years down the road. But it is to try to draw attention here, to bring people in, capitalize on the existing soccer league that we've got going on as well. And I had a point I was going to. Oh, and that was it. So the original thought was to try to link it up for Cinco de Mayo. But that is not a hard date. It was just at least to have an end date to be aiming for. So I agree with what the mayor was saying. If the goal is at least to have it, we can do something on the low end, midsummer, towards the end of summer, that would work. But the intent overall was it was to at least see what this will do, because we've never done something this big. And again, to capitalize on the soccer league that we've got going on.
I've always been told that Cinco de Mayo was made up holiday by the Corona Beer Company, that it's not an actual Mexican holiday. It's Mexican Independence Day in September is the real holiday.
So that would probably be even better to be aiming for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do a smaller tournament at the beginning of the summer. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I have no druthers with bringing out, asking for volunteers. These are 4 rather large fields. These are not like, hey, we want you to come and do the front of City Hall. We're not talking about something like that. We're talking about a large amount of space,
And you'd be asking these landscaping companies to give up their time that
Correct.
they've got allotted to their paying
And
customers.
this is their business time. This is their summer.
Yeah.
That's when they do their business. So I would be cautious. I mean, we can see how it plays out, but I wouldn't commit to it until we know that that's all lined up and they're ready to do it, or they've done it and we're okay. It's done. Now let's see if we can do this tournament.
And they start out in March,
Right.
the landscapers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a few clients, and they start out in March planning.
Yeah.
So we can reach out to them early and have them,
Right.
put us in their
And
schedule.
we'll still need, dirt
button.
to fill. So we'll still need dirt to fill. I mean, I don't know what projects we have where we can get that dirt in the city. I'm sure we've got it somewhere.
Well, and then when we were originally talking about this and taking a hard look at the field, one of the things we did is we talked to Rob over at the street department. There is some work, given some guidance from maybe some landscapers, that some of our street department could actually do as well.
Yeah.
Just to kind of help get this off the ground.
I'd like them to get that tennis court out before they do that, though.
It's coming.
All right, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, and I'll leave my discussion at that. So, all I can say is I was out in Vegas when they were trying to get this thing ready for the F1 race out there, and I've got a race, I got to be done. They were not done until right before the race, so got to be careful with stuff.
And they still canceled the race.
Yeah, they're part of it, the qualifying, right?
I'm not sure how much.
No, they did. It was.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Anyway, okay. Any other discussion? All right. John, you have something? Okay. Thank you, John.
Actually,
Yes.
well, I was gonna say, I know Daisy over there at the airport has a big roller.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a big, that he uses for his, runway. That, he might be willing to let us use, if we could,
Make him a sponsor of the tournament.
get it over, right? Whatever. I mean, it's a big, highway asphalt roller.
Right.
Double drum, could smooth out a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So,
No, that's a great idea.
Which I think is the biggest issue, is
He
it
uses
needs,
it on his runway, so-
it needs some smoothing.
Yeah.
Those were rolled this spring. We try and roll them every year if money allows for it, and this year we did get them rolled in the spring. I think Steve Creviston did it.
I think the big thing is if we had a leveling rake to put on the back of a tractor, that would really fix a lot of the issues out there.
Yeah.
You need a leveling rake.
Well, we need to know how much this equipment's going to cost us to use, right? And consider the fact that we're, paying for rough officials as well. So,
Well, and we have a lot of farmers in the area here, and I think most of them probably have equipment that might, so thinking about someone with a farm tractor and some of their equipment to
Yep.
Well, I think the city has the tractors covered. We could, we don't have a problem with that. It's the issue of a leveling rake. So.
Right. Well, and it kind of leads into an issue that we have with our parks, which we have drastically improved. But we don't have a lot of this maintenance equipment because these leagues have been run by private citizens, right? We don't have a drag for baseball fields. We don't have a roller. We don't have that stuff, and we really should have that stuff. It's the type of thing we should start budgeting for and buying pieces as we go along. Buy them used, and, that's fine. But, I mean, we should have that. We shouldn't have to be contracting that stuff out all the time or begging off to get someone to donate their time. It's great that we do that, and it's great that we have people that support us, but in the end, we should have that equipment. There's no question. And I'll take first blame for, past 5 or 6 years we haven't addressed. I know we got the truck, but it needs to be more than that. Absolutely. Okay. Recreation Center survey update, Ryan.
So the survey has been closed. I am working on compiling all of the results from that. There's a lot of data, just like the first one. I will have something ready to be presented to you for the December Park Board meeting. If with the holidays and everything, if I get it done before that, I will make sure I send it out to everybody to review. We did receive 427 responses on the English survey and 15 on the Spanish survey.
Hey, we grew a little. The Spanish side.
It's something we can look at next time then. And if you get it all accumulated, go ahead and send it out so we can look at it.
Yep.
Any questions for Ryan? All right, moving into budget discussion.
So we have the budget in your packet,
Yes, sir.
as well as the list of must-have needs and wants.
All right.
Figuring out where to slash.
When's our city council meeting in December? So we have to have our meeting the 11th. Okay, is everyone good with our next meeting being the 11th? Because we're going to need time to review this. Everyone needs to be able to look over this for us to discuss it. And I would think that the next meeting will really go in depth into it. Ryan, I want to ask you some questions. Did you include in this the sewer work for Milky Way Park?
I did.
Okay. Is that on that's not new equipment,
That's under, it's the need.
needs,
It's the second one.
ejection pit, 33K, yep. Okay. To me, that has to be fixed. I mean, that's a real issue for our bathrooms to have those problems out there. And I think, I know that's a lot of money, and I know, add that with your must-haves, that's probably taking up most of the budget, or not, if not all of it for next year, for buying things. But that ejection pit's got to be resolved, in my opinion. Lions Park tree trim, okay.
Yeah, that's.
Man,
we're
didn't we
due-
just do that like 5-6 years ago?
There's a lot of trees.
I know, I'm kidding.
And part of that will be, I have some oak trees at the pool that need to,
Yeah.
that need to be addressed too.
Okay. So my instruction for everyone, and Ryan, are you good with the next meeting then, us resolving this and walking?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you need immediately. Is there anything that you want to describe to us? Like, on here, for example, you've got $25,000 of park program equipment. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so I've been tasked with coming up with, programs for this upcoming fiscal year. Over the years, we have not acquired a lot of capital equipment in order to do some of the higher more advanced programs. I can pull up my list. So this is everything from, whether it's science kits to dance equipment. Arts and crafts equipment, whether it's canvases, easels, brushes, paint.
Ryan, are we coordinating with the library to make sure that we're sharing equipment
Yeah.
stuff like that?
I've talked to Karen about some of this stuff.
Okay.
She was gonna look into seeing what they do have, making sure that we don't overlap. Yeah. It's a lot of just different, I don't wanna call it odds and ends stuff, but it's stuff that we've never acquired.
So is this something though that we could do like $5,000 a year? You know, to like, okay, what do we need right now, right? And then, then budget 5,000 for next year to buy more, or maybe 7,500, divide it down into 3 years, $8,300 to, so we're not devoting, because again, I mean, and it is up to this group here, but man, that ejection pit at Milky Way Park really needs to be dealt with and addressed. You know what I'm saying? So if we divide it over a 3-year program, I mean, either that, I mean, when we look at this, Ryan, do you have an idea of how much money we're going to have for new equipment in your budget?
Go back through and look at, don't have all the revenue line items filled in. Whether it's program revenue coming in.
Okay, that's all right.
We can go through it real quick if we want, but.
Well, I mean, again, because at some point we have to prioritize. I mean, we can't do everything on this list. We can't, we can do, the must-haves and then part of the needs, and we're just going to have to, fight through it. I mean.
There's some of them, like, on the want list that are getting really close to, it's going to be a must-have.
Yeah.
Just from a safety standpoint, whether it's, the Mary's Park Playground. And there's stuff that we can't even get as replacement parts anymore. Things got a boarded up slide. And there's stuff, all of our playground equipment is aging.
Except for the new one in
Yeah.
Northfield.
That's all, it's every year, whether it's garbage cans, picnic tables, I mean, parks mower.
Well, your preliminary budget here, you've got about $106,000.
Yeah, it doesn't have all the revenue or all the expenses in there yet either. The fuel for the building propane, that one we're waiting on. Deb mentioned something about that in the email. I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. Whether it was getting completely billed to the pool or it wasn't getting, there was something weird that it was only going to one address.
So, go ahead, Brian, sorry.
And then just figuring out, what we allocate for, park program equipment is going to dictate what that revenue side is going to be on what we're able to do or what we can't do.
I think,
The budget line, 23-24 is for the whole year. The actual is just 10/31, so.
Yeah.
You're gonna use up that figure.
Well, I was looking at the bottom line on the
Then the yellow line.
in the
Yeah,
yellow.
the yellow,
yeah,
you're-
the last column.
yeah, the last column, you got $106,000.
I think,
Excess revenue over expense.
now granted, this will be the first full budget year that I'm going into, but I think as a rule of thumb, just looking at some of these numbers and then at the must-haves and needs alone, I think you're going to be pretty safe at guesstimating about $70,000 to $80,000 to be able to apply to that. And Ryan is correct, though, that some of this does adjust the revenues, which means you're bringing in a little bit more.
Right.
So, yeah. But I think as a rule of thumb, as you're thinking of all this over this next couple of weeks, is at least 70,000 with a potential for more.
Yeah, so if you want, I can go through some of these and give a little more detail.
No, I think what I'd like to do is committee members, if they have questions, to reach out to Ryan, ask them individually. Don't copy everyone in the group. Ryan can respond copying everyone in the group saying, I was asked this question, here's the answer to it. That way we're not creating any issues with, I can't remember what it's called.
He has to answer the question once,
Right,
hopefully.
right, exactly. So, yes.
My recommendation for the board, though, is at your next meeting is you go through this line by line.
Yeah.
Like we do for the
Yep.
Absolutely.
budget
That will be our next meeting, probably. Everything else is gonna fall off. So, just push.
This is the most important thing you
Yep.
do as a group.
Correct, Mike. Thank you very much. So, $70,000, $80,000, that puts us through a lot of this list. We might be missing, like maybe we push tree trimming in Lions Park a year, just 1 year, to get all this other stuff done, so. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close, so
Or we put,
on some of the wants that are
yeah,
floating in that need is, the dog park shelter repairs, we can do a lot of that in-house. We just wouldn't be able to probably hit the roof,
Right.
with this upcoming.
well, you can give it a year,
You know.
push it 1 year.
The ID printer and software up at the pool. That thing gives us nothing but headaches all summer long. We got to park garbage cans, picnic tables, and ADA tables. Our parks mower, we've been pretty good about replacing that. We have one of the Kubotas left, and it's getting to the point where it's not going to be a want or a need. It's going to be
Must have it.
We must have it.
Yep, got it. I got it.
So now, is any of this included in the capital budget, like for the parks?
Not yet.
Okay. Because
Yeah, and-
I'm looking at Mary's Park and $100,000, that,
And-
we need to be planning, right, for that.
Yeah, well, and yeah.
A
if you-
little bit at a time.
If you've got a playground that's falling apart, either A, it goes, if you can't get replacement parts, that's the choice. It goes and then you eventually replace it, or, you can't, that becomes a liability issue for the city, and you take it out, the residents are gonna scream. So you best be ready to replace it.
Lions
So-
Park is next.
So
Yeah.
one of the suggestions I would make on this is that on the Mary's Park playground, to do the whole project, you're talking 100,000 roughly.
Yeah, that was the
Um,
quote that came from, there's one that was actually going to be allotted for Milky
Right.
Way, but I'm like, man, this would fit perfectly.
So
in Mary's.
break it, show each one of the line items that adds up to that 100,000, because let's say there is $80,000 and just spitting numbers off the top of my head here. If you do cut the tree trimming in Lions Park and push it off a year, then that potentially leaves another $15,000 that maybe could at least chip a little bit of that out.
I'll need it. I know for sure I'll need at least 8 for Lions.
So if you can show that, so that as
Yeah.
they're making decisions, that they
Yeah,
can see.
if you look at the park program equipment, if we even cut that in half, 12.5, right? Do half this year, half next year, that gives you 12.5 to spend, and you cut tree trimming by 7, that gives you, more. There's another, so that drives us to the $70,000, closer to the $70,000 number, which we need to have, $70,000 to $80,000. Realization, we have a budget, we can only do so much, but, again, that's,
Yeah,
Qu-
and then what are the pieces
right.
of some of these high-ticket items that can be done, like Mary's Park?
Correct, because if you're looking at the grand total, it is a big bite. Let's look at what we can accomplish while we're building up the capital improvement plan and the equipment reserve plan, so that we're bringing everything along.
Yeah.
And then we're ready to go.
With the park program equipment stuff, have we looked into donations from companies that do like crayons and markers and stuff like that for at least the arts and crafts things?
I have not at this moment yet. I just finished the equipment stuff up last week, last week, I believe. And so it was getting that done and then shifting focus on to getting stuff ready for this meeting. So I will definitely do that.
Thank you, Laurie, that's a good idea. Okay, let's move on to the financial report. Any other questions for Ryan? I apologize.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions or any
Yeah.
clarifications.
Send them to
just
Ryan.
let me know.
Ryan, please copy all of us when you answer, or, blind copy so we don't respond. Financial report, I did that too, don't worry. Financial report,
It's just in your packet.
Yep.
It's kind of follows the same line item as to where we're at with
The one from
budget
Deb.
for the year. Yep.
okay, got it. Vandalism report,
We only had one thing. On November 4th, a police report was filed due to some vandalism at Moosefield and Mary's Park. We found over 19 tags on various park items, garbage cans, bathroom doors. That individual was identified and arrested, and I have been working with the police department on the cost of the vandalism. Hopefully getting some restitution.
Ryan, the vandalism we had last year at the pool with the window, we still haven't been reimbursed for that, have we?
It's 21, I think.
Was
That
it 2 years
2
ago?
years ago.
We still haven't been reimbursed for that. Yeah, probably never will, unfortunately. Okay. Questions for Ryan? We had, this is before you, someone broke the window at the pool, the exterior window, and they also broke into the bathroom, right?
Yeah, they broke the mirrors in the bathroom, the office window, both double doors. Yeah, both double doors.
Did we find
And
out
they were
who did
caught.
that?
I mean, they were arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make a note so that we could follow up on that.
Yeah.
The court case is still in progress, or
Lori?
Oh, no, I was just curious if they had been identified.
Oh, yeah, they were caught. They were arrested. Yeah.
was it juvenile?
Yeah.
One's in juvenile court, the other one's adult.
The one in Mary's Park, did the camera come into play too?
We got him on camera at Moose Field, so.
Mayor's report.
I have no report.
Thank you, Mayor. Ryan, do you have anything else for your report?
Hey,
You were our meeting tonight, Ryan.
Full meeting, Brian's report?
Yeah. Yes, true.
I think we touched on pretty much everything that was in my report. We touched on the survey. And then just one thing that's always in my report is kind of the analytics from our social media content and where we're at with that. But
I just sort of let you know that I have people come into the bowling alley and talk to me about the dog park, and they like it. They really do. They really, a lot of positive feedback about the dog park, so it's good. Charlie, you go out there, right? The dog park. I know. All right. Parks Foundation, Scott.
Nothing to report tonight, other than the fact that we do not have a meeting this month. Our next meeting will be next month.
Perfect. New business.
Yeah, there were a couple of things.
Lou.
The first is, earlier this year, we were identifying some lots that the city has to take care of as far as parks, and then cutting them up and then selling the land off because they're actually in residential areas. I've actually handed that task off to Donavan, since he is here. He can chime in if he wants, to go ahead and complete that process and to potentially even either auction it off or use it to entice some infill. So that hasn't fallen off the radar. It's still there. And then the other part related to the dog park, I was actually out at the dog park earlier this week, last week. And I was able to talk to a few people. One of the things in some of the other communities that we've done is for something to help the dogs get exercise is to actually take down trees, cut them up, clean them up, and then just throw them out there. Gives them something for the dogs to jump over, and actually sometimes the kids to play around while they're out there. So that's something that I asked the street department next time there's a tree that has to be removed, to maybe clean up the tree when it's over and throw it out there. When I was out there, I talked to a couple of people that were out there, and they thought that was a great idea. Something, again, for the dogs, because right now it's just all open field.
Basically, some big logs out there.
To throw them out there.
Yeah.
And then also to look into getting a couple of fire hydrants. Just dummy fire hydrants, used ones, put them out there.
I've got one in my backyard. Got from the city.
Well, we auctioned off. We sold some of our old ones, right?
Yeah, that's where I got mine.
Did you get one that way? Yeah.
It's sitting in my backyard.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Little things like that can
Sure.
spruce it up with little maintenance, and then it also gives our pet friends out there a little more to do.
Absolutely.
So that was it.
All right, any other new business? Seeing none, as I discussed, our next meeting will be Monday, December 11th, before the city council meeting. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Scott, second. Thank you, Lori. All those in favor? Aye, opposed?